wrestlers themselves, notwithstanding refereeing, is the most thankless job in the industry. Commentators will often witness their work desk dismantled by the brute force of a powerbomb, and timekeepers may find their bell being stolen, but they've been traditionally safe from the errant strikes thrown between the ropes. Referees, though, like the athletes they're officiating, are also expected to adhere to the same level of standard. A slight mistake, major or minor, can cost them a pretty penny, or in a rare instance, their job. Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at the 10 of the worst mistakes by WWE referees. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Number 10. A Smackdown disaster. A Tiffany Stratton, Jade Cargill, and Nia Jax. What could go wrong? Well, everything it would seem. Colliding on SmackDown's September 26, 2025 broadcast, the match was notable for two primary reasons, one of which was the gnarly gash suffered by Cargill to her eyebrow. It was a deeper cut than WWE uploading a WCW Omni event to YouTube. However, that wasn't what dominated Twitter headlines though. It was the obvious botch by referee Daphne LaShawn that was the leading talking point. The mistake came when after Tiffany Stratton stole Jade's pinfall on Nia Jax, LaShawn counted to 2 and stopped immediately without Jax having lifted her shoulder up. It was embarrassingly terrible, particularly as WWE held the camera angle on the entire moment, highlighting Daphne's mishandling of the moment. She would comment on her infamous mishap afterwards via her Instagram story, noting that she was just human and that she would strive to always be better. Referees following through on their counts regardless of planned outcomes of the match had been a long-standing directive of Vince McMahon, but Triple H appears to have stripped back on how much leeway referees have in the ending of a match. A shame given how much flack Daphne faced after this. Had she just delivered the 3 count, it wouldn't have been so bad. Number 9. We Can Hear You. John Cena is renowned, or disgraced depending on who you ask, for his absurdly loud spot calling during matches. Cena himself has admitted that he doesn't really care if those in the first few rows or the viewing public at home can hear him. That's fine. Those he shares the ring with need to be guided to the next spot. Sometimes though, the referee is required to relay information between Cena and his foe, and this was on full display on the final Smackdown of 2022. As Cena tagged with Kevin Owens to tangle with Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn, referee Jessica Carr could be heard shouting at almost as loud as Cena was, repeating information back to Owens, Reigns, and Zayn. Carr's vocals peaked during a planned hot tag sequence where she informed Owens to crawl slowly to his corner to accommodate the same pace on the opposing side of the ring. Number 8. Extremely embarrassing. Now, you probably won't remember Wes Adams. A Hattiesburg, Mississippi native, Adams, like Daphne LaShawn, was a wrestler first and referee second. He had done a couple of enhancement gigs for WWE before he was hired in 2007 to don the black and white stripes, largely being allocated to the revived ECW brand for a matter of months. Adams was assigned to a match on the 12th August 2008 ECW show where Mark Henry and Matt Hardy were against John Morrison and The Miz. Lasting 8 minutes and 45 seconds, the bout was originally planned to go a lot longer, but Adams, following the aforementioned edit from Vince McMahon to follow through no matter the outcome, counted to 3 after Hardy flattened Morrison with a side effect. The Miz missed his cue, Mark Henry was livid, and Wes Adams was actually fired. Adams gave up his career as a referee following his WWE exit. Number 7. Mike Chioda learns the truth. While Wes Adams was canned for his refereeing misjudgment, Mike Chioda wasn't, despite his abrupt call resulting in the crowning of a new champion. Then again, Vince McMahon actually loved this mistake. Chioda detailed the aftermath during a sit-down with Wrestling Shoot interviews.
Vince loved it. Part 2 tells me the wrong fucking finish, and he's like, you said you only get schoolboyed once. And he was like, oh, my bad, dog. I'm sorry, man. So it was kind of funny, but you know, and I thought I was going to get a bunch of heat coming back, and Vince was like, no, actually, that was phenomenal. I loved it. I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, great. I'm like...
Indeed, R-Truth usurped Shinsuke Nakamura for the United States title in January 2019 in a most blunt ending. Truth, evading an attempted landslide from Nakamura, countered the slam into a small package roll-up, with Chioda counting an official 3 count. Although the replayed footage evidently displayed Shinsuke as having kicked out before his hand hit the mat for a 3rd time, the decision stood and R-Truth was the new United States champion. But so infatuated with this unplanned outcome was Vince McMahon. He didn't have Truth instantly drop the title. Instead, the WWE lifer was given a few weeks to enjoy his newfound success, as Samoa Joe would then topple him for the title after 5 weeks. Commendable since he wasn't supposed to be champion in the first place. Number 6. The Wrong Holly. Now, Hardcore Holly didn't quite have the same luck as R-Truth. At WrestleMania 2000, a hardcore battle royal, which was a big plunder match where everyone we don't care about gets lumped onto the card, was contested for Crash Holly's hardcore title. It was charmingly fun and acted as the purest exemplification of the title's popularity during the era. The planned finish was to have Crash Holly go over. His cousin Bob Hardcore Holly was to smash a glass jar over his head, as he did in the actual match, but the 15-minute time limit was to have expired at the count of 2, thus allowing Crash to escape Anaheim, California with the Hardcore Championship still in his suitcase. However, referee Tim White began his count way too soon. Hardcore Holly won the strap, and as a result, even Howard Finkel was taken aback as he announced the decision to the live audience. Now, unlike R-Truth's 5-week stint with the United States Championship in 2019, Hardcore Holly was booked to lose the belt back to his younger cousin just 24 hours later on Raw. They might as well have not bothered. Number 5. Teddy Long doesn't care. Theodore Long has been a pro wrestling journeyman, having been employed to fulfill various roles throughout his 4-decade career in the business. But before he was SmackDown's tag team obsessed general manager, he worked as a referee, delivering a hilarious moment during the 1999 Royal Rumble. Refereeing Gangrel and X-Pac's European Championship match, Long made a stray 3 count as Gangrel rolled through an attempted X-Pac crossbody, but conversely to other instances of a referee counting to the 3 before planned, this didn't end the match. Indeed, Long, Gangrel, and X-Pac continued as if nothing had happened till the match was supposed to end. The funny thing is that Teddy couldn't have cared less. Following his botch, Long nonchalantly removed his earpiece, and thus Vince McMahon's solitary line of communication with the match's competitors. He later reconnected his earpiece, but only for a few seconds as McMahon's verbal abuse continued. Long finished the match on his own accord without Vince directing every fine detail. What a badass. Number 4. Earl Hebner hits rock bottom. Now, if you pay attention to pro wrestling referees, you'll notice that each has patented a distinguishing mat slapping technique. Charles Robinson is smooth, Mike Chioda's is aggressive, and Nick Patrick's is, well, something in the middle. Earl Hebner too was distinct in the way he would slap the mat, but he also held a distinctive manner in which he would count if he knew it wasn't the deciding pinfall. He'd put every ounce of velocity into his counting arm and haphazardly fall, often getting in the way of those he was officiating. At No Way Out in 2001 though, it wasn't the wrestlers he got in the way of, it was Vince McMahon's mandate. Refereeing the Rock vs Kurt Angle main event at the broadcast, the finish was to see Hebner count to 3 following a rock bottom. Except he didn't. He stopped himself despite Angle not even kicking out. The Brahma Bull repeated his finish and the match concluded as planned, but The Rock was legitimately pissed off with him, as Angle explained on his podcast in 2021.
Dwayne The Rock was pissed. He picked me up, rock bottomed me, and told Earl and looked him in the eye and said, "Count the motherfucking finish." He's pissed. Earl's gonna get it when we get back to Gorilla. But Dwayne, he was mad at the time, and when he got backstage, he cooled up and he didn't really yell at Earl or anything. We all make mistakes.
Number 3. The problem with Jade's crowning moment. A rising issue in pro wrestling refereeing has been the officials' lack of awareness. More regularly, pinfall attempts are executed successfully without both of the opponent's shoulders being placed on the mat, thereby creating one of 2 scenarios. Number 1, an opportunity for the promotion in question to expand upon an existing storyline, such as when Lana petitioned successfully for a rematch versus Naomi in 2017, or number 2, nothing, which is just embarrassing. WWE obviously chose the latter in the wake of 2025's Night of Champions blunder. Jade Cargill, whom WWE had positioned as the next big thing, was selected for victory over Asuka in the finals of the Queen of the Ring tournament. It was a correct choice to make, but her victory was thrown into question when, during the winning pinfall, Asuka's shoulders were clearly lifted off the mat, somehow going unseen by referee Daphne LaShawn. This had been the result of Jade leaning back during a pinfall attempt. Though the botch still remains on Netflix edited Night of Champions, WWE's YouTube highlight of the match abruptly ends as Jade rolls into the cover. Number 2, Mickie James's face tells a story. Just look at Mickie James's face here. She's as confused as those who are watching it. Now, Asuka was always supposed to win the match, but the finish didn't go quite as planned. Derek Moore, the referee assigned to the Raw Women's Championship match, called for the belt without James having submitted. This was less Montreal screwjob and more of a legitimate cock-up from Moore, who was reported as having been at full blame for the sharp ending to what was Mickie's second from last match on the A-Show. Mickey explained the questionable botch during an interview with TalkSport, starting with quite the honest statement. "I honestly don't know. I rolled back to count 1, 2, there was no count. So she Asuka obviously went to go and log back into the Asuka lock. And I think in those moments, here's the thing, it's a dangerous spot. We have to be careful. The refs do their job, and their job is to protect us and make sure it never goes too far or no one ever gets hurt. So he made the decision based on what he thought was a reality, that I was hurt or I couldn't continue, and that's unfortunate for me." WWE's post-match statement read as a scramble to cover up the mess. Mickey was quote-unquote unable to continue, they said, while she was evidently in the midst of escaping the match-ending Asuka lock. And number 1, a botch on the biggest stage. Wrestlemania 35 was a first time ever, as it was the first all-women's main event headliner. And it's also a match that is technically still ongoing 6 years later. Pitting Becky Lynch against the Raw and Smackdown Women's Champions Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair respectively, the agreed upon finish was to see Becky submit Charlotte with the disarmer, solidifying her stance as WWE's top star on the grandest stage. Instead, she erratically pinned Ronda after reversing a Piper's Pit takedown into a weird convoluted pinning predicament. Rod Zapata counted to 3, but Ronda's shoulders weren't anywhere near down. But the decision stood, thereby stripping the history-making match of its prestige. Now Vince was reported as being fucking hot about the situation and fined Zapata an undisclosed sum for his part in ruining the ending of Wrestlemania. But there you have it folks, 10 of the worst mistakes made by WWE referees. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.